Okay, so I want to start today by kind of showing you guys a car commercial.
Introducing the all-new Enclave. It's a minivan to the max, with features like remote control sliding rear doors, 150 cable channels, a full sky view roof, temperature-controlled cup holders, and the 6-point navigation system. It's the minivan for families on the go.
So, what'd y'all think? Was it what you were expecting? No, it was a little bit shocking, and we don't expect it because we've all seen car commercials. We all know how they're supposed to go, and that's how this one started out. It was showing all the cool features of the van, and the family was happy, they were excited and smiling, and that kind of fits into our schema of what we expect when we see a car commercial. And to be honest, it kind of fits into what our own lives look like a lot too. Because we live in a place like America, a lot of us have those happy families and the nice cars and the nice things. And that stuff makes us feel good and it makes us feel important, but sometimes we get so wrapped up in that we forget that there's danger around. So, this word, complacent, who knows what it means? Somebody? Anybody? All right, well, according to a dictionary definition, to be complacent means that you're comfortable, smug, self-satisfied to the point that you don't realize potential danger around you, which means that you're basically unaware. Complacency is when we think that we're invincible and we think that everything revolves around us, and so we kind of forget what's happening in the sphere around us. Complacency can be kind of dangerous because when you start thinking that you're invincible, things can happen. Now, has anybody ever thought that they were really cool, really invincible, and kind of did something stupid that maybe didn't turn out quite well enough? Yeah, I see some hands. Well, this was me the summer after my freshman year of college. I thought I was really cool, as you can see. I thought I was invincible. I even dyed my hair crazy colors. This is the face of a girl who's about to learn that she's not invincible. Because one night I was driving about 85 miles an hour, as invincible people sometimes do. And I thought, nothing could happen to me until my car slid on gravel and ended up at a 45-degree angle on the side of an embankment. Now, 2 seconds before that, I thought nothing could possibly happen to me. But when I was sitting on the side of the road by myself crying with not enough cash to pay my tow truck bill and having to call my parents, I didn't feel nearly as invincible then. And so complacency is dangerous because sometimes when we don't see the potential dangers around us, then we kind of tend to get wrapped up in ourselves. And complacency can happen within the Christian community as well. Because when we grow up in church, as a lot of us have, and we hear these Bible stories over and over our whole lives, that can be a good thing. But if we never let it change us, if they just become routine stories and we don't let it mean anything, then that's when we become complacent. And we think that we have it all figured out. And we assume that we do, because we've gone to church our whole lives, right? Maybe. But then sometimes religion just becomes something that we throw into our lives once a week. And our faith isn't the basis for our life. And that's when we have to watch out for complacency. Sometimes things happen in our lives that shock us awake and make us see what's going on around us, sort of like my car accident did for me. On September 21st, 2001, not 21st, the 11th, why did I say that? Something happened that shook America to the core. Before the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers, to be honest, America had gotten a little bit complacent. We're one of the most powerful nations in the world. We thought nothing could happen to us. We were safe, or so we thought. But what was surprising and kind of cool about this is that the overwhelming response to the terrorist attacks was prayer. God Bless America was written on every sign in the country as the whole nation returned to God. But why did it take such a horrible tragedy to bring us back to God? Because we've become complacent. Because we weren't aware of the danger around us. And so I want to talk to you about another nation that became complacent, and that was the nation of Israel. They were in slavery in Egypt for 400 years. They were abused, mistreated, in bondage until God sent Moses to redeem them. And God provided for them in the desert. He took care of their every need, but in spite of that, they kept forgetting God. And Hosea was one of God's prophets who was sent to warn Israel of the consequences of their complacency. So I kind of want to read a passage to you from the book of Hosea, which is God talking about the Israelites, when he says, I cared for you in the desert, in the land of burning heat. When I fed them, they were satisfied. When they were satisfied, they became proud. And then they forgot me. So I will come upon them like a lion, like a leopard I will lurk by the path. Like a bear robbed of her cubs, I will attack them and rip them open. Like a lion, I will devour them. A wild animal will tear them apart. And we hear that, and our tendencies go, whoa, what in the world? What kind of a God is that? But let me tell you, it's one who loves you ridiculously, one who loves you passionately, one who loves you desperately. And he's desperate enough to do anything that he has to do to draw us back to him. We get so comfortable hearing verses like John 3:16 that make us feel all warm and fuzzy inside, that when we hear something like this and the cold reality of God's discipline smacks us in the face, we're shocked. And we're left wondering, well, how can this even be the same God? But we forget that a love as passionate as God's is a tough love. And he's not afraid to scream at his kids when they're running out into the street to save them from something worse. Because honestly, complacency is when we are the most vulnerable to Satan's lies. Because we think that we've got it all figured out. And so we assume that nothing can touch us. And so when we think that we don't need God anymore, that is when we're the most likely to fall captive to the lies of Satan. So really fast, I just kind of want to reiterate what complacency is. It's just this attitude of pride that says, I don't need anybody, I've got this figured out, and we fail to see the danger around us. And sometimes in our lives we have these rude awakenings that sort of open our eyes again to what we've been missing. And sometimes God is going to do things in our lives that we might not like, that might be a little bit painful. But sometimes he's just trying to wake us up and bring us back to him. And it's not because he's trying to punish us, but because he's desperate for us.